Good evening, my friends. This is Angie Stewart from Miami Inner Light here in Kardec Radio. And tonight we'll continue with our studies of this beautiful book, Among Brothers of Other Lands, and the Gospel According to Spiritism. My God, my book is so old. Yes. So we are continuing with our studies. I just want to make sure that we are live. I don't see anyone popping up here yet. I'm using a different platform. So if you are listening and seeing it, you have to write something. I don't see anyone popping up here yet. I see it is actually working, so it's good. Very good. So we are live. At least I can see it's working. Oh, I have someone here already. Hello, Paul Lalonde, Canada. That's very good. Welcome, welcome. This is great. So to all of you that are going to be coming soon, and if it's your first time, I just want to let you know that I really like to have some water. We do a prayer in the beginning and in the end of the study. And in Spiritism, we understand that the spirits, they are able to bless our water with good vibrations and good energy. And we know that in this time of COVID-19, good medication, it's very important for our physical body, but also for our minds, our spiritual body. So while you guys are coming in, I just wanted to let you know that I had a inspiration today, and we have been doing already prayers for our planet through all this COVID-19 pandemic. So it's like for 3 months, I have been praying with you here on Thursdays, but every single day at 10 p.m. And I always invite all of you to also put on your cell phone, 10 p.m. You stop whatever you're doing for 1 minute and you just pray. And I had an idea to invite some friends to participate of our next studies, hopefully starting next Thursday. And I will have different friends doing this final prayer with us. So I think it's interesting, will be more interactive. And I really hope soon we will be able to have our live group discussions. So it's not going to just be me talking, but we can have a few other people live in the camera also talking about these studies. So let's see what's going to happen. So I can see a few friends coming. Hello, Nora. How are you? If you guys, I can see a lot of people are watching on Facebook. I only can see your names if you write something, just for you to know. Now I just want to invite you to relax, close your eyes, and let's do our initial prayer. God, our Mother and Father, thank you so much for all the blessings we are always receiving. Thank you so much for having a physical body, to be able to be reincarnated in this life. Thank you so much for giving us strength and faith to be able to go overcoming these new difficulties that are coming every day in our lives. But with this strength and with our faith in Jesus, we will be able to overcome it, feeling always positive and helping our friends, our family, and even people that we don't know yet, but also need a prayer or some kind of positive vibration, so we can vibrate for them, pray for them, and help our planet to go through this turmoil. Please stay with us, inspire us, and help us. Thank you, so be it. Very good, my friends. Awesome. Last week we were among brothers of other lands, and we were studying chapter 31st. The title is 20 Questions with Gabriel Delanne. So 20 questions is really long. So it's 2, 4, 5 pages. So usually this book has 2 pages each chapter. This has 5 pages. So last week I was able to go through only until question number 8. So today I will read from 9 to 15, and let's see how many I can finish, because I really want to have a few minutes to go through the gospel. Last week we couldn't. So this week I really want to go through the gospel. So let's go. And as I always say, please write your comments, write your questions. As soon as I finish the initial reading, I can read and I can try to make comments on your questions, or we can make comments together. Okay? When I finish, I go in detail to each question and each answer. Oh, so let me just summarize, because maybe you are here for the first time. But as I explained last week, if you can go to the full YouTube video or in Facebook of Kardec Radio of Miami Inner Light, you will be able to see the last video where I talk about not just the author, because the author of this text, this chapter, is André Luiz, the spirit that's very famous, that wrote many books. The first book is Nosso Lar, Astral City. But what happened in this chapter is that André Luiz is in the spiritual realm, where in a meeting, when he sees Gabriel Delanne. Gabriel Delanne, as I explained, it's a French spiritist, and he was very important in Spiritism in that time. So a brief story about Gabriel Delanne. His mother was a medium, a ostensive medium. She could write. And his father was a personal friend of Kardec. And as a coincidence, he was born in the year that the Spiritist book was launched, and he was born in France. So he was born among this Spiritist movement. So you can imagine his mother being a medium, his father being a personal friend of Kardec. He grew up with Spiritism. So he grew up understanding it. And so he was born in 1857 and he died in 1926. So I wrote about him in our Facebook, Miami Inner Light, or Mia Inner Light, as I like to say nowadays. And you can go there and you can read a lot about Gabriel Delanne, his life, the books that he wrote, a lot of research, and his personal life also. Very, very interesting. So this man knows a lot about Spiritism. And André Luiz is asking him many questions about the past of Spiritism, the present, and also the future. So basically that's what's going on. So let's see now what are the new questions. So the first one is number 9. So André Luiz asks, the earthly science of today shows itself avid of a contact with other worlds. And for this reason, wouldn't be interesting if spirits gave descriptions of life in other planets through many mediums? Then Delanne answers, this is useful once the problem is considered in its fair dimensions. Communicating spirits can describe to humanity prodigious cities and advanced social systems in terms of matter, being different from the one that is known, measured and weighted on the earth. Even with the most advanced instruments, human beings only see a tiny part of the universe. Very true, very true. Number 10. To what reason should we attribute this restriction? Answer. To the structure of the human eye, made to support only a determined portion of observation of life in itself. Very interesting. 11. In your opinion, to what region should we conduct scientific research on Earth? Once the conquering of material landscape of other planets would not advance much the moral progress of the creatures. We should stimulate the studies around matter and reincarnation, analyze the marvelous reign of the mind and the place of exercise of mediumship, the works of fraternity, of guidance, of consolation, and of relief to multiple diseases of the terrestrial creatures. Very actual. It's happening right now. What else? People should ensure the activities that in reality can improve their inner world. 13. What are the biggest obstacles for the spreading of the Spiritist doctrine? In our opinion, the greatest obstacles for Spiritism come from the performance of those who reincarnate promising to serve Jesus, be it through direct or indirect mediumship in the field of inspiration and intelligence, but they fall in the trap of the physical seductions, becoming genuine mediums of inferior regions. Once they don't deny the truths of Spiritism, but they are ready to ridicule them through sarcastic written messages or through the histrionic art. Where can we find the unproductive demonstrations of phenomena, the fantastic stories, the depressive jokes, and the horror movies? Wow, this is a very, very good answer. We have to comment a lot on this one. 14. How do you see such distortions? The millions of inferior spirits that surround humankind have their mediums. It is impossible to deny this. 15. In what way can we win the gigantic maze that operates the influence of the shadows? Educating. So this answer number 15, educating, is also as an answer to many other things in life. And we can use to Spiritism, but we can use to politics, we can use to so many other things. When we are able to educate the people, they understand that we have to respect each other. And it's so difficult for people to respect each other. I always mention that nowadays, because of social media, people have this desire to be always the winner. So if one person puts a comment on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, any social media, this person is expecting everybody to agree with them, or anyone who sees a comment and they do not agree, they immediately go there and they attack that person. They do not put their opinions, because putting an opinion is something polite, but attacking is something very, very different. Imagine I say this back here is black and white, and then someone says, you are stupid. This is beige and white. You are blind. So I'm just giving you an example of how things are happening nowadays. But soon, hopefully, we will be able to understand that if I'm seeing black and white, and maybe it is not, it's okay. Different, educated way would be, that's funny. I see it beige and white, but that's fine. They're both a contrast color. So it's very different. But one day we will be able to live in this world that life is better and more calm, and we are able to respect the people that sometimes have a very, very different opinions from us. But right now it's not possible yet. So we have to do our part. So what's our part? Our part is at least not attacking somebody else that has a very different opinion from us. Is really trying to behave in a way that everybody should. Not easy, because social media is almost like a circus. But let's try to focus in our inner improvement, trying to pray for the others, respecting others, and trying to make social media something very positive, because I love social media. It is so good to bring us connected. For example, I'm in my house, you guys are in your house. We are able to share something in common. We want to understand spiritism. We want to understand about spirituality. So we are together here. But it also can be used to anything else. But for example, like us, the people that are here right now in this live is because they want to learn about it. If they don't care about it, boom, they just leave it. And that's fine. We don't need to fight about it. That's good to everybody. So we just need to find this middle ground to be able to, we can all live together in a good way. So let me see if there is any comments. So I just see Paul from Canada, Nora Brazil, hello, Carla Marques, hello, my friend, Teresa Castro, Sol Souza, hello, girls. So Paul said, not sure what mediums means. That's true about social media, good advice about people. Well, mediums, we are studying spiritism. So mediums is a way of in the middle, is something in the middle. So let's suppose here is earth, here is spiritual realm, and you have a person in the middle. So this person in the middle is a person that can be a connection between the spiritual realm and earth. So it's the person that has a special ability, because this person was born with this special ability to be able to see spirits, to listen, to feel something. It's a more, how can I say, something is ostensive. We call ostensive mediums. Because in Spiritism, we understand that every single human being is a medium to a certain degree. So you might be saying, I never heard of spirits, I never saw spirits, I never felt anything different. That's fine. This is actually the majority of the people in this planet. But there are certain people, and I am one of them, that are able to hear, to see, to feel. There are many different types of mediums, many different types. But even the ones who are not ostensive mediums, they are able to be inspired. Let's suppose that you are here and suddenly an idea come in your mind. Something silly, I don't know. Let's imagine an idea come in your mind and you just think about your mother. And you're like, that's so strange. I'm not even thinking about my mother and this idea came. So when the study finished, you decide to call your mother. And then your mother's going to say, oh, my son, I'm so happy you called me. You have no idea. I really needed to talk to you. So this could be your mother sending you this vibration, and you were able to capture because of your mediumship, because of this sixth sense that we all have. And many different things, many other things that sometimes are our guardian angel. So we are going straight on the street, and suddenly you have this weird thing that you should actually turn to the left. And you're like, I don't even know why I want to turn to the left, because I need to go straight. And you're like, let me explore a different route. And you turn to the left. And then you go to the end, and when you arrive at your destination that are 1 block away, you hear that a bad car accident just happened in the end of the street. So that could be your guardian angel protecting you, trying to avoid you crossing a street that something was going to happen. So this is what mediumship and what mediums are. If you want to know more about mediumship, please buy the book called The Spirit's Book. We have here the Gospel according to Spiritism, but there is also the Spirit's Book that was written by Allan Kardec, and then you will understand a lot of things. And after this, you can also buy the book called Mediums by Allan Kardec, and these have more in deep. The questions and answers are specifically about mediumship, but for you to really be able to understand, you need to have read the other book before. So, okay, no more questions here. So let's go back to number 9. So number 9, André Luiz asked, the early science of today shows itself avid of contact with other worlds. So as we know, there are billions of constellations. Our little tiny planet Earth is not the only planet that has life. We know that God is constantly creating. So if there is life here, there is life in other realms and in other planets too. But as we're going to see later on, maybe the life that's in Earth, the type of material life we have in Earth, is different in Saturn, in Neptune, in other planets. It's different. So even if the man is able to create a spaceship to be able to arrive there so far away, whenever they arrive, they might not be able to see a man or a woman walking around. But there is life there. It's just that it's not in the same material that we constitute ourselves. So this is important for us to understand. So he's asking about the earthly science of today shows itself avid of contacts with other worlds, and for this reason, wouldn't it be interesting if the spirits gave descriptions of life in other planets through many mediums? His answer is, this is useful once the problem is considered in its fair dimensions. He is talking about dimensions. What is this dimension? That's exactly what I said. For us that we live on planet Earth, that's a planet that just arriving in the regeneration phase. So it's not a very advanced planet. We know that more we advance, more our physical bodies get dematerialized, and we are able to live in planets that don't need so much heaviness, so much material things, like eating solid things, living in difficult situations, like we know tests and atonements planets go through, and that's how Earth feels right now. Even if we are already there, but we are in the super beginning of the regeneration phase. And then he continues, communicating spirits can describe to humanity prodigious cities and advanced social systems in terms of matter, being different from the one that is known, measured and weighted on the earth. That's exactly what I just said. Even with the most advanced instruments, human beings only see a tiny part of the universe. So this is amazing, because we had the telescope Hubble, that was the telescope that really in the 90s, that really was able to discover so many constellations. that we didn't even know existed. And now we have a telescope that's much more powerful and was able to discover so much more. But even like that, he is telling us that we don't have the capacity. Even if we create the best instruments, we don't have the capacity to see it all. But the good thing is that we are ready, with the science we have nowadays, we already have an idea of how gigantic is the universe. It really has no end. And we know God is always creating, constantly creating. So that's why the scientists are always discovering more and more and more. So this is interesting. So as he mentioned, there are right now many books that you can read that already talk about the spirits that came from elevated spheres. For example, Mozart. I already spoke about Mozart many times. If you have the Spirits magazine or the Spirits, how is translated to review, is translated in English, the Spirits Review from 1858. Kardec wrote about his personal mediumistic meetings because he went to many places performing mediumistic meetings to write about it, describing what was happening, and many times doing evocations, because in that time, because of his research, was important to evocate spirits, to ask questions. So many times he evoked the spirits that he knew, personally he knew, and had died a few weeks or months, and the spirits came and told him many things. But one time, many times, he evoked also spirits that he admired, and Mozart was one of them. So Mozart came telling him that he lives in Saturn, is a planet much more advanced than Earth, and the life there is very different. Life there is much more subtle. There is not so much matter like here. So he was describing all the differences. How is life there? How do they live? How do they eat? It is amazing. It's very different than what we imagine. So this is just one example. So there is life. There is life in other planets. Guys, I don't know if I have a problem here or if you are not really asking anything, commenting anything. That's good. I will continue. So number 10, let me see my time. Okay, 31. Number 10. To what reason should we attribute this restriction? And he answers, to the structure of the human eye made to support only a determined portion of observation of life in itself. So this is really good. Besides everything I said, even if we have these amazing telescopes that are sent to go around the earth to take amazing pictures that have a super zoom, the telescope will never be able to show us everything, because our physical consistency of our physical eye is not able to see it. So this is something that's interesting too. We know that in superior worlds, our physical body improves also. Everything improves. So right now, to survive, we need to eat material foods. We need to drink, we need to exercise, we need so many things, and we go through many diseases. But we know that in planets that are more elevated, everything is more subtle. So it's not so much solid food, it's more liquid. And don't worry, you are not going to be desperate. Oh, I can't believe I love my rice and beans, or I love my Italian food. It is different because we evolve and we do not feel the need for it. But while you are on earth, yes, you feel the desire, the need. It's different, but don't worry, we will all be there one day. Number 11. In your opinion, to what region should we conduct scientific research on Earth once the conquering of the material landscape of other planets would not advance much the moral progress of the creatures? And then he answers, we should stimulate the studies around matter and reincarnation, analyze the marvelous reign of the mind and the place on the exercise of mediumship, the works of fraternity, of guidance, of consolation, and of relief to multiple disease of the terrestrial cultures. So this is what he is mentioning. So he is asking, if going to other planets is not going to make us advance because we are not going to be able to understand or to see or to put in practice, what should we do so creatures could improve? And his answer is beautiful. His answer is saying, really, let's stimulate studies around matter and reincarnation. Imagine reincarnation. For us, spiritists, reincarnation is a very basic thing. We all understand it. It's not belief. If you are listening to this for the first time, it's different when we believe in something and when you understand something. It's almost like a science. When you are able to prove something, you understood it because you were able to see how it actually happens. And the belief is almost like someone told you something, was an amazing story, and you were like, oh, so you believe. But at the first time something shakes you, your belief can change. But if you understand, then it's different. Understanding is not something that you can be shaken and not understand it anymore. So there are countries on earth, for example, India, that the reincarnation is something so basic that they all talk about it. There is a book, 20 Cases of Reincarnation, from the professor Ian Stevenson, very famous professor here in the United States. The book is very thick. I read it. It's amazing book. He studied more than 400 cases, but he did deep study in this book of just 20. So this thickness is of 20 cases. So he tells his whole trajectory, how he started, why he started, where he went, and then many of his cases are in India. And he even mentions why it's so weird in India. There are so many. But because in India, the general culture is of acceptance and of understanding. So like here in America, when you talk to the most of the population about reincarnation, everybody's like, yeah, sure. That's their reaction. Unfortunately, if you have a big group of friends and you talk about it, that's the reaction of the majority of people. If you have a selective type of friends, if you have friends that are more open-minded, friends that are actually spiritualists, so they are more aware of this and they have an easier time to understand and accept. But if they are materialist or if they are very religions, in certain religions, they will not accept and they will not even try to listen what you will try to say. And in the YouTube now is a blessing because there are thousands of things that you can search and you can find. You can even find interviews of Professor Ian Stevenson there. And he's a student who continued his studies also. And they show in a scientific way how these researches were done with each of these people through many years. It's not that they went there, they interviewed, they wrote about them, bye-bye. No, they went there, they interviewed, they collect information, they went to the city, they went to visit the family, usually kids, usually very, very young kids, 1, 2, 3, 4 years old. mostly very, very young kids. And they used to talk about their whole past lives. So he took information of all that, and usually the reincarnations were also in India, but India is really big, and it's not very easy to go from one place to the other. It's the roads are very difficult. It's not United States. You have to think like it's very different way of moving around. You have to take trains, difficult transportation. Anyway, he was able to go there with the child, the family of the child, and he was able to meet with his ex-family. So it's amazing. But besides all this, he catalogs all this information, and he returns year after year to talk to the kids again. Some of the kids he returned 3 years, 5 years later. And then they start losing that memory. They start like, yeah, I remember, I'm not so sure. So it's beautiful. But we can see reincarnation, not with so many scientific studies. We can see every day. You can see kids 2, 3 years old that are amazing dancers. They are professional singers. They play piano, violin, they play whatever. They never study. The parents say, I never put him to study. Or you can see other kids who are mathematicians. They just learn how to write, and they can create, they can resolve equations that are like mind-blowing. So for us, this is easy. This is reincarnation. For other people, oh, this is a genius. Yes, he is a genius, but he probably was already a genius in his past life, and he returned in this life with a fresh memory of what he had done. That's why these little kids are so brilliant in whatever they are doing. So anyway, cutting it short because it's 9:40 and I talk forever. Forever and ever. So, wow, the only one talking today, it's you, Paul. I'm glad you were here. That's very good. So you say, what books talks about Moses living in Saturn? No, it's not Moses, it's Mozart, the musician, the pianist, the writer. Mozart is the Spiritist Review from 1858. This book is the one that talks about it, and I can find out the correct chapter, and I can actually post in Mia Inner Light Facebook page. So go there and you will get this information. And then you also said, right now I'm in between, let me put it here so I can. Right now, I'm in between belief and understanding. I feel like reincarnation is true, but it's new for me. I don't understand well yet. That's fantastic. That's good. You are in the good pathway. You are going there. That's how we all should do. You should never believe in something just because someone told you, but you should research, read, study, do an amazing scientific research so you can start understanding it. I will also post information about Dr. Ian Stevenson and his book, and then you might be able to buy it and to read it. You Google about him. So little by little, you will understand. So now you kind of believe. It's good. Don't worry. It's fine. And number 12. What else? People should, well, I only comment in the first one about mediumship, but he also said, analyze the marvelous reign of mind and place on exercise of mediumship and the works of fraternity. So we always talk about, first of all, mind. Even the scientists say that they know so little about our brain, how it's developed, how we could improve the usage of it. Our scientists already talk about it. And he also mentions about the works of fraternity. So fraternity, charity, loving each other, respecting each other is so important. He continues with guidance, consolation, and relief of multiple diseases in the terrestrial creatures. So this is all improvement for our planet Earth. There is so many things that we can improve scientifically, but it will bring improvement in our morality, in our moral values too. So all of this is important. And then André Luiz asks, what else? People should ensure the activities that in reality can improve their inner world. Activities that can improve their inner world. So inner world, my world. So we live on planet Earth. Yes, there are many activities that can improve the whole planet, our country, maybe our state, our city, my neighborhood. But what about me? I have to improve my inner world too. So this improvement is not just physically, it's not just a better job, a better house, a better car. Especially in Spiritism, we all understand that we have to improve our morality, our moral goals. Because when we die, we are not going to take any of these material things with us. We are just going to take whatever we conquered within us. Whatever I develop in my intelligence, in my morality, everything good that I was able to do to others. So I learned with this experience. I was able to donate love to these people. I was able to be compassionate with their pain. I was able to understand so many things. Just for you to know, today in my job, we had a presentation done by a few of my colleagues from London, and it was about discrimination. And they did a beautiful research. So they did this huge research with many of our colleagues. My company is very big, so they did a big research. And many of them told some experience they had of racism. And we were all shocked because we didn't know racism is something so big and so terrible. So, you know, it's hard. It's hard. Like, you don't see, you think it does not exist, but it does exist. It does exist. And it's not racism only against blacks, but against anything that's different. Can be racism against Latins, can be racism against the gays, can be so many things, against poor people, against uneducated people. This is all racism. So we have to be aware of it. Are we doing this and we don't even pay attention? We have to be aware, like, oh my God, I'm saying something that might insult someone and I didn't even realize it. So these are all food for thought, all things for us to think about, all things for us to reflect on how we are living our lives, what type of values we have, what type of values I'm teaching my kids, my friends, my family. So this is all important for us to improve our inner world. So this is what he's talking about. Number 13. Where are the biggest obstacles for the spreading of the Spiritist doctrine? And he answers, in our opinion, the greatest obstacles for Spiritism come from the performance of those who reincarnate promising to serve Jesus, be in through direct or indirect mediumship, in the field of inspiration and intelligence. So he's saying that the biggest obstacle are those people who reincarnate promising, I will be a medium and I will dedicate my life to talk about Spiritism, to help people to understand this is true, there is life after death and all this, but they fall in the trap of the physical seductions, becoming genuine mediums of the inferior regions. Once they don't deny the truths of Spiritism, but they are ready to ridicule them through sarcastic writing messages, or through the histrionic art, where we can find the unproductive demonstrations or phenomena that the fantastic stories and the depressive jokes and the horror movies. So what is he explaining here is just that there are people, we know that everybody that's an ostensive medium, not the day-to-day medium that have inspiration, have ideas, but the ostensive medium, people that really can see spirits, can hear spirits. These people, they are not special because God just said, ooh, I'm going to give you this gift, Angela. No, we know these spirits, they had a lot of negative baggage. Yes, a lot of things that were done, they were wrong, lots of mistakes done in the past. So basically the spirits that are preparing your reincarnation come to you and tell you, listen, we can organize your reincarnation like this. You really made a lot of people unhappy. You destroy certain things. You caused a lot of damage. So your next reincarnation, you will have to go through a lot of the pain you inflicted in others. Or you can be born a medium in order to be able to help the spirits who are suffering, and you can also help spreading spiritism. You can also help with any types of the spiritist works, and we work a lot with charity. And this is up to you. What do you want? Do you want to have a reincarnation that's going to be a little bit difficult and painful because of what you did? So now you have to go through what you caused to others. Or do you want to reincarnate as a medium in order to do all this that I mentioned? Yes, usually we say, oh, I am a medium. I'm a medium. Yes, I will reincarnate a medium. I will do everything. Don't worry. Good. So these people, these thousands of people, they were supposed to improve the spiritual life here on earth. I'm not talking only about the spiritists, because there are mediums in many different societies, in different families, in different religions. They are all mediums, not necessarily spiritists. It's easier when someone is a spiritist medium because the family will help them. In my case, my parents were both Catholics, and they did not believe in anything of spirits, and no. So when I told them that I started seeing a lot of spirits, the first thing they said is like, oh my God, she has some kind of mental disease. We need to find a psychiatrist immediately to help her. So it's more difficult to people that do not have anyone to help them. But don't worry, we are never abandoned. God finds ways to help us to receive the necessary guidance to understand what's happening to us. So in this case here, these are the mediums who reincarnated in order to help spiritism per se, but they didn't. So when they reincarnated, they were seduced by many other things, and they changed their minds. So they were supposed to work in spiritism. They were supposed to help spreading the good news. They were supposed to talk about life after death, or the reincarnation, explaining what they see, so people wouldn't continue thinking that everybody who says they see that people, they're kind of cuckoo, crazy. But they just were seduced. They were seduced by other things, and they changed their minds. And unfortunately, sometimes they continue being mediums, but to the opposite. So instead of using their mediumship to talk about the good things of spiritism, they use their mediumship to talk about bad things. Many times lies. They create things that don't exist. They bring problems to spiritism. They create things, or they are the ones who change, and they I wanna be paid to make to help you to communicate with your grandmother. You need to pay me $100, especially if they are spiritists, because these ones, they have knowledge. If they don't even know what spiritism is, and their charging is different, even if they will understand one day that they shouldn't do it. But the ones who already know, it's much more problematic to them. So this is important for us to understand. So Matthew, discrimination, one of these last primitive traits humans have to work off. Exactly, Matthew. Exactly. Unfortunately, it's still happening, and we see this nowadays on our TVs, how terrible it is. And discrimination of any types. I have so many gay friends, and when they tell me the things they went through, many of them were in Brazil, and they actually had to come to United States, and they came here not like as a tourist, but they pleaded for, what's the name, when your life is at risk. Had one of my friends that he was actually beaten up few times, and he had to run away from his city because they said, if you come back here, you're going to be killed. So he had all the documentation of the proofs of the police reports. But unfortunately, sometimes discrimination is so big that even the police didn't want to help. Isn't this sad? It's very sad, especially if it is happening to someone that you love. When it's happening to someone that you know, you're like, yeah, it's sad. But if it's happening to your son, to your best friend, it's very different. To your brother, your sister, then you feel it. You feel in your skin, and you want to fight it too. But as we always say in Spiritism, we don't want violence, because violence generates violence. We have to find ways in order to be able to get out of a situation the best way possible. And education, again, education is the answer. One day we will be able to fulfill it. One day we will be able to understand it. I cannot believe it's 9:56. You guys should have told me. So I would study the gospel. It's 9:56. My goodness, I can't believe it. So what Paul said, okay, let me see. Okay, I'm understanding the point about the mediums now. Very good, Paul. I'm so happy. That's awesome. Refugee, yes. So he was able to come here as a refugee, but this was like 25 years ago. Nowadays, it's really rare. It's very difficult for this to happen. So 9:56. Where was I? Question number, I think was question number 13 that we read. Yes. Okay. So I didn't finish reading question number 14 because I started explaining. So I'm just going to finish reading it. So he says, but they fall in the trap of the physical seductions, becoming genuine mediums of the inferior regions once they don't deny the truths of Spiritism. But they are ready to ridicule them through sarcastic written messages, through histrionic art, and where we can find unproductive demonstrations or phenomena, fantastic stories, horror movies, and etc. So you understand when the medium that could write to a good cause, like for example, we have a Chico Xavier in Brazil, who was an example of a man, of a living man. He was always a very simple, very poor person. He wrote 455 books nowadays, and he donated the rights of these books. All the books, he donated the rights. The books were translated in many languages. Billions of books, they were sold because his books were sold in many countries, and he never kept $1 from any of his books. And his whole life was charity. He was always helping people that had less than him, consoling the mothers. Anyway, this man is really like a very elevated soul. So this is an example of the perfect medium. We also have Divaldo Franco, we have the prayers, we have Raul Teixeira, we have many other mediums who are doing similar things, who are also writing beautiful books to help us to improve. We understand in Spiritism the 5 basic books of the codification came from Allan Kardec, but we also understand, because the mediumship of Chico Xavier and the spirits, André Luiz, that's the one that is doing the interview with Gabriel Delanne, and also the spirit of Emmanuel, who was actually the spiritual guard of Chico Xavier. Because of his books, we had like a glimpse, a better understanding of what actually happens when we leave the spiritual realm. Because André Luiz, he brought us Nosso Lar, the first book. So Nosso Lar, he tells his life story, how he lived, how he died, what happened to him as soon as he died, how he arrived in the spiritual realm, what he was doing. So, and then all the other books after Nosso Lar. So it's really like a long history. If you can, please read his whole collection. It's amazing. And nowadays we have already a few movies. You know, Nosso Lar is in English, Astral City, you can see it. The book is better than the movie, but the movie is really beautiful. But of course, like me, I love reading, so I love details. And a movie is very difficult to be able to put so many details in 1 hour and a half movie, but it's a blessing. Anyway, so these spirits, they brought so much more knowledge for us to help us to understand what really happens after Angie dies. And as we know, we are all different. We all had different lives. And whatever I am doing right here will affect the way I will wake up in the spiritual realm. So that's why we have to try our best to behave a little bit better, so we will be able to wake up in a little bit better condition. So we don't need to hang out in the lower zones, in the umbral, for quite some time. We can hang out there like quickly, and hopefully we can be rescued to one of the colonies that will help us to improve in our spiritual life. So it's 10 o'clock right now, and as I mentioned, we have to stop here. Next time I will ask you, Matthew, to write here and say, Angela, it's 9:45. We need to study the gospel. So I will be able to stop and we study the gospel. And as I was mentioning, next week I will invite one of my friends. I have a private group in WhatsApp that we exchange messages, prayers, all kinds of spiritual things. And I will ask one of my friends to come here to do our final prayer. So we will have a little bit more of an interaction. And soon I think I will start inviting guests that have a lot of knowledge to be able to participate in a kind of group chat, so we can talk more about these beautiful subjects of this book. So at this moment, I want to invite all of you to just relax, close your eyes, especially because you are in front of the screen, so you can connect with your guardian angel, with the good spirits, and we can vibrate together positiveness for our beautiful blue planet. It's just 1 minute. Dear God, our Mother and Father, first of all, thank you so much for bringing us together here, helping us to go through this study, understanding it in details, helping us to elevate our thoughts, and to think about a beautiful and more loving planet Earth. And because of this, we are here together, praying for the betterment of our beautiful blue Earth. Master Jesus, we would like to ask you to protect all of us, to send us the good spirits that will share with us this positive energy, protecting our physical bodies, but also guiding our spirits, helping us to connect with love, with light, helping us to start creating positive thoughts, helping us to understand the differences still exist, but we are not going to engage in any type of negativity, any type of a fight or bad discussion. We want to learn to respect the different opinions, even when they are attacking us. Master Jesus, at this moment that we are still going through a difficult pandemic, we would like to ask all these good spirits to shower their loving energy through all the places in this planet that are suffering, all the countries that are affected, all the people in the hospitals that are sick or they are taking care of them. And everywhere, Master Jesus, because we are reopening the cities and we know spreading the disease will happen even faster. So please, Master, protect all of us and help us to continue strong with our faith, with our loving energy, and helping us to go through it. Please help us to come back here again next week so we can continue our moral improvement. Thank you so much. So be it. Uh-oh, my dogs just arrived. So my friends, thank you so much. It was a blessing to be here with you. Please check our Facebook page, Mia Inner Light. I will post some of the information I mentioned here. And let me know if you have any questions. Just write me and I will be happy to answer, and hopefully you're going to be here again with us next week. So have a great weekend and I will be talking to you soon. Bye bye.